What happens when the character you create becomes the mirror you didn't know you needed? Welcome to I Have Questions. That's where we begin in part 2 of my 3-part conversation with Mia Mason. Last week we talked about the moment Mia finally had language for OCD, the relief, the fear, the clarity that came with understanding something that had shaped her entire life. Today we go deeper into Worry's Whispers and meet Drew, the character who isn't Mia, but is absolutely born from Mia's lived experiences. We explore why Drew exists, who Drew represents, and how Mia blended poetry, illustration, and graphic novel storytelling to create a book that speaks to people who have OCD, people who might, people who love someone who does, and people who should just be curious. So, this is part 2 of 3, and it's where the creative process really opens up. So let's get into it, because
I have questions.
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 I've plenty of the food that doesn't have questions, which I do.
all right. So, yeah, that was awesome, Mia. Thanks. So, Mia, so tell us about the I guess it's the main character, right? Um Tell us about your main character, and who is the main character to you, and what is their name? I guess I already shared that in the opening, but tell us about the name so that uh, I'll let you share all that.
Yeah. So while this book is not an autobiography, it is based on my really real experience with OCD, health anxiety, kind of related disorders.
Yeah.
So the character is very close to me, but it's not the exact version of me. Her name is Drew. Yes, I named her Drew because that's what I do. I draw. So
I suspected.
really, yeah, I really like that. But yeah, it's a version of me, but it's also a representation of kind of anybody who's having a difficult time and brave enough to say like, hey, I need some help, and kind of seeing what happens when you kind of take that step and realizing like you're not alone in this.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, I'll just ask. I
Yeah.
do this a lot.
Look,
My
you're doing amazing.
brain chugs along weirdly. When you started writing this, did you have a thought of writing it for kids or adults who hadn't been diagnosed yet, or people who had been diagnosed? And when you were done with the book, had that changed on who you think it was meant for?
Yeah,
Or was it not meant for anybody?
yeah. So I do love kids, and I love working with kids, and I love teaching art. And at one point, I did think it was going to be a children's kind of book in the very, very early stages, like before I even decided or figured out I was writing poems before that kind of thing. And I think I still would really love to do that, but kind of as I started writing it and kind of moved into that idea of like, oh, I'm going to put my poems in and do drawings, I kind of geared it a little bit more towards like, I think like like middle readers and on, just because it's not like super graphic or scary, but it is a little bit intense, and I wanted it to be because I wanted to show really what it feels like to have OCD. And to your point, I wanted it to be for people who are diagnosed with OCD, for people who might not know they have OCD, but they feel like Drew. And really for those who have loved ones with OCD or somebody they know, so they can really kind of understand like what it feels like to have OCD and not
Yeah.
just what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I kind of asked that question because as I've gone through the whole thing, it's pretty heavy.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it takes a turn. Yeah.
it's there for you, right? It's right there. So, okay. So let's take a little bit of a left turn from Worry's Whispers here. And we're going to come back to it at the very end quick, but this question is asked a little bit from my history, but I'm wondering if did you struggle in traditional learning environments then? Unless you were deeply interested in something, that's how I was. If I was interested in it, I looked like an all-star academic, but if I wasn't, whew, rough. So, uh, if that happened, I guess first, was that something you experienced?
I love this question. Definitely tell your teacher. We love for that. But yes, that's like really great insight. So I'm dyslexic, and I also have like ADHD as well and some
Yeah.
other stuff. But yeah, for me, actually writing this book and a big reason why I did want to combine words and images was kind of to give it like that multi-sensory kind of experience because everybody kind of learns differently. And
Hmm.
to have an art piece and a book that was accessible for a lot of different types of learners. And just having that kind of ability to read some of it, take, the visuals in. And I think they complement each other nicely and
Yes.
everyone can kind of get what they need kind of from the book.
Yeah. Well, you literally just answered the next part of that question I was going to ask, which was, how you approach teaching and supporting others now.
But
And
yeah.
right. And it's
Yeah.
through multiple different entry points, right?
Uh-huh.
In essence. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
It's funny. I will share with you about when I first downloaded your book and started going through it. It cemented my dyslexia and ADHD because I found myself at first, I saw the illustrations and then I came up to the poems, and I'm not a very good reader, part of it being the dyslexia.
Yeah.
And so my first time through your book, I literally went through all of the illustrations, like the poems weren't
Cool.
there,
Yeah, yeah.
right? And then the second time, I literally started reading the poems one after another. And then I went back and put the 2 together, right?
I like that.
And
Yeah.
and, uh, uh, part of doing that is I think because when I read or even view drawings, I miss stuff the first time through, and, people make fun of me because, like, if I have a movie that I really like, I can
Mhm.
watch it over and over, but it's not monotonous because I honestly and literally pick up new things every single time, right? And your book, quite frankly, in my opinion, for me specifically, made that part of me super easy
Yeah. Yeah,
because it was chunked that way.
I really love, hearing that, that, like, because you can read it however you wanna read it, which is really cool about it,
Yeah, and not
and
miss anything.
yeah, and not miss anything,
Yeah.
and actually, you probably picked up on a few things that are kind of hidden within it if you read it a few different times. There's a couple Easter eggs kinda hidden throughout
Mhm.
that book you might, pick up on, but yeah, so that's a pretty cool thing. Yeah.
Yeah, so oh, no, that's cool. I just when I first started off with that line of questioning, I intended to ask that, and then it was just part of your answer. It was
I
it
love
was
it, yeah.
awesome, awesome to hear. So let's take a big jump forward here. What is one curiosity or question you are currently, as of today, asking yourself?
Ooh, I love this. Let's see. Yeah, what kind of curiosity am I love this question. This is a good one. I think I'm honestly, I love art. It's a very big part of who I am, and I'm usually interested in different types of art throughout the time that I'm
Yeah.
around. Right now, I've been doing a really big deep dive into how to do seamless patterns, like design, like for surface patterns, like for like baby clothes, things like that.
Oh.
And yeah, I've kind of really done a big deep dive in that and how that all works. And I'm finding it very interesting. it's kind of technical, more
Oh,
so than
yeah.
it was going to be. It's not like super crazy difficult, but like it's pretty cool. So I've been kind of figuring out how to do that.
Oh,
And really enjoy.
multifaceted.
Yes,
Very cool.
I have like art is the big kind of thing I love, but I go all over the place with
Yep.
it.
Bring it on. Good.
Yep.
As someone who's full of questions and full of curiosity. Awesome.
Yes.
So back just a little bit to now that you've digested the diagnosis and you've been through really good, you're going through therapy and you've written a book. And as someone who's, gray and been around a day or two and it still struggles with this a little bit, but what's one belief about yourself that you'd held, most of your life, and now that you've been diagnosed and you've been through treatment and you're really actively working on it, that you've had to unlearn from the old Mia to continue to move forward and grow?
Yeah. Well, I think, at one point, and I think this is a very common experience for people who have OCD, whether, you were diagnosed 5 years ago or 10 years ago, I think it probably is a little more intense for people who are diagnosed a little later. But I really felt like I was the only person who was experiencing what I was experiencing. And that like there was something kind of wrong with me, which there's nothing wrong with me. This is like something that people have, and we all have our stuff, and this is just kind of one of those things. And there's a really big, great, like supportive community for people who have OCD and treatment for that. So just kind of like that idea of like, oh, something's wrong. And I I still struggle with that like kind of feeling,
Yeah.
even though not even with OCD in relation like to it, but just like that kind of feeling of like what who am I, kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And the more that I kind of like learn about myself and everything, I kind of realize there's nothing really wrong. The only thing that's kind of wrong is not living your life while still being or not living your life and being super worried. You can still be super worried, but you got to go out there and kind of
Hmm.
do stuff that's going to make, your world bigger, your life bigger. But yeah, I think that's kind of
That's, you know what? That's, to me, that's a mic drop moment right there. That was
thank
beautiful,
you.
beautifully said. I almost want to stop our interview right now because, yeah, that's exactly, you know what though? That's exactly what I would have wanted to answer to that question, but I
Mm,
wouldn't have been able to say it so well. So, yeah, well done. Oh,
thank
Yeah, that is absolutely a mic drop moment. I'm thank you, Mia. That's awesome. So I think that's where we're going to take a pause and wrap up part two of our conversation. And today we explored Drew, the character who isn't Mia, but absolutely carries Mia's heartbeat. And we dug into how Worries Whispers became this multi-sensory blend of illustration and poetry and lived experience. We talked about dyslexia and ADHD and learning differences, and why stories that meet people in multiple ways matter way more than most of us realize. Next week in part three, we're going to go even a little deeper and more personal. We're going to talk about curiosity and creativity and the surprising places where Mia's artistic brain wanders. We're going to explore beliefs that she's had to unlearn, the moments that reshaped her identity, and the powerful idea that you could be terrified to do something and still choose to do it anyway. And to end it all, I've asked Mia to read one of her poems. And trust me, you don't want to miss that moment. It's worth the effort. So, if you're enjoying this series, please subscribe, like, and share the podcast. It helps more people find the conversations and it keeps my community of curious humans growing. With that, I'll see you next week for part 3. So stay curious and keep asking questions. P.S. Before we close today, I want you to take a big breath, and I want to take you to a forest in Burgundy, France, where something quietly astonishing is happening. Something that feels like a question that has been brought to life. It is called Gideon, and at first glance, it looks like a medieval castle rising from the earth. But here's the twist. It's not a restored castle. It's not a movie set. It isn't even a replica built with modern machinery. It's a castle being built right now in the 21st century using only tools, materials, and knowledge that was available in the year 1228. And the question that started it all was beautifully simple. If we tried to learn to build a medieval castle the medieval way, what would we learn? Man, that question pulled together a team of archaeologists and stonemasons and blacksmiths, carpenters, rope makers, tile makers, craftspeople who wanted to understand the history, not by studying it in a book, but by doing it. Every single stone is quarried by hand. Every beam was shaped with axes modeled after those 13th century tools. Every rope, every nail, every pigment is made on site. And here's the part that really should spark curiosity. The workers say that they're not just building a castle. The castle is teaching them. It's teaching them how medieval engineers solved problems without blueprints. It's teaching them how knowledge was passed from hand to hand, not book to book. And it's teaching them how patience, craft, and community once shaped the whole world. Gideon is a reminder that history isn't locked behind glass. It's alive, it's tactile, and it's something you can feel with your palms and hear in the ring of a hammer. So, as you step away from this episode, please carry this with you. What would you understand differently if you stopped reading about it and started building it? Because Gideon shows us that sometimes the best way to explore the past is to pick up a chisel and let the stone answer back. Peace, love, R.